Daddy, how'd you watch television? Television had not reached Plays On, believe me, and it had hardly reached America yet, to be honest with you.
Yeah, just the big cities, the only places that had it.
In the 40s, very, very little, if any, and electricity came a few years after that to that little area house.
Lemonade Day is going on Saturday, May 12th. It's not this Saturday, but next. If you're a child and want to sell lemonade, or you got a child that wants to sell lemonade, go by your local Raising Cane's to get a little backpack full of stuff to do a lemonade stand. You know, you've been hearing this thing about kids trying to sell lemonade, and the government gets in the middle of it and says, well, you have to have a permit, a license. It's kind of a thing to kind of get back to some basics in America. So go by Raising Cane's. You can give them a call, 205-7265 to talk to the Lemonade Day of South Louisiana director. KSLO, welcome back. Glad to have y'all.
What about the LSU board, Fars Lombardi? Boy, I'm telling you, poor fella, he got a bob in. I don't blame him. Those are some big jobs, and the Jindal administration continues plowing ahead, as they say.
That's what they say. I hope they get a good man to replace him.
They got the votes to do what they want to do, and they're doing it, and hopefully it'll all be for the good.
Spice and Music Festival's coming up. Yet. Yeah, we don't know till we'll see who the new guys are going to be.
That's right.
Spice and Music Festival's coming up. That's the weekend of June the 1st and 2nd over at South City Park. I just want to start reminding people now. Gino Delafosse, Horace Trahan, Chris Ardouin, Jamie Bergeron, Leon Chavis. I mean, big names are all going to be coming. So it's going to be a relatively inexpensive festival.
A little special to the Advocate in Baton Rouge, the newspaper there. A little article about a trip that they took from southeastern Oklahoma to California's World Fair. Very interesting story. I don't usually get into, but it's a short story, and I'm pretty good at reading short stories like this in the newspaper and magazines and Times and the Times in Lafayette, the Independent in Lafayette, articles like that, the Bon Nouveau over in Ville Platte. I love all of those, but books I have a hard time reading. I keep saying that, and what I'm doing, I'm continually building a wall against reading a whole book. But I did read the book on Father
Verbus Lafleur.
Verbus Lafleur in one night.
That's a good book.
I couldn't put it down. Couldn't put it down. If I'd have put it down, it would have been tout fini, as the Frenchman would say. It's finished.
Dixie Storage, all your storage needs throughout St. Leonard Parish. They've got a unit for you from the smallest personal storage to the biggest commercial, all the way up to warehouse size, where you can have loading docks, railroad spur access. Their company, Dixie One Trucking, can move stuff around, do inventory control for you as well. They've got their sister company, A Plus Glass, with locations in Lafayette and Opelousas that do commercial and personal glass type work for your home and auto or business. Dixie Storage. And Dr. Kerry Thibodeau. If you're needing a general surgeon, he is your man to go see. You know, when you go see your doctor and he says, I think you need some surgery, you can choose who your surgeon is. Dr. Kerry Thibodeau is board certified. He's a wound care expert. Any kind of cuts, any kind of maybe surgeries you've had that haven't healed.
What's that machine that they specialize in?
Hyperbarics. They'll run you through the hyperbarics to help you heal even better. And vascular surgeon. A lot of people think of the vascular type work with varicose veins or any type of vein type
That's
issues.
One picture that I didn't get a picture taken of, but it would really have, it would have sold on the magazine stands.
You think so?
Is when Ray Bello and I,
those space
carbon
suits?
monoxide, and we had to put that space suit hat, a little plastic, clear plastic, and we were sitting facing each other like we were getting ready to fight or take off in a plane.
That's right, go to the moon.
And all we were trying to do was get some fresh air and survive.
Lucky.
And I was very fortunate. Ray was not as fortunate and had a heart attack because of it. But today, I don't think he complains about it because he found out he
didn't realize he had so many heart issues until after.
Heart issues, and today, if you look at him, he's ship-shape right now. He's lost weight recently, some more lately, working out and all of that. Let's talk about, you know, we always talk about the flood of 1927.
Correct. That was the big one for here.
Well, that was the big one for here. And I had never heard, and of course, it's nothing new, but Washed Away is the title. This was in Sunday's Morning Advocate in the People section, and that was the 1912 levee break left Point Coupee Parish underwater for 6 weeks. Can you imagine? Right there, our neighbors, the next parish over.
My people, that's where the Guitros come out of, where they got the St. Parish was Point Coupee. So
and then maybe that might have helped run them into St. Landry.
Well, we'd already got here just before that, my part of the clan. But they got a dog on the roof.
Yep, and that's a big hotel. I think this was right here, and of course the famous picture in Melville was the Como Hotel. Right downtown, it was a 2-story, maybe 3-story building, white frame buildings. It's no longer there, but it was when
the flood was.
Yeah, when I was a young man and selling insurance in that area, in and out.
You're after the flood, though. You came along after.
Oh yeah, yeah, 10 years after. Yeah. But my 2 brothers,
they were around.
They were around. You bet. They were small, both of them.
Right.
Cody would have been born in 27. And John would have been born like in 25.
Mr. Chuck Button from Palmetto used to tell me the stories about that flood, about working for the government to help retrieve the coffins who had been washed up and bringing them back to the churches so when the water went down, they could rebury them. One
of the local stories I heard, and it was very interesting because he was kind of, he could give a good story, and that was Mr. Elton Doucette. And
that's Lucius's father?
Dr. Lucius Doucette's father, and Rose Marie, and Cecile is a sister. Yeah. That's right, the older sister. Anyhow, he was telling us the story of right there around where Evangeline Downs is. That's up on the hill there. Currently, right now, in Opelousas, right on the outskirts of Opelousas, and might be in the city limits. That was a hill right there, and they set up cooking and sleeping facilities right there for all the people that would be east of that area that were flooded out, and they were coming into high grounds. Yeah, the refugees. And it was very interesting how they set up real quick and fed thousands of people.
The locals and the Red Cross and everything was involved. LHC Group, all your home health care needs. If you need nursing at home, if you need physical therapists, as you and I were talking about earlier, if you need any kind of equipment, the special beds, chairs, and buttons that you press and all that kind of stuff, they can handle that for you. LHC Group. They've got the Health and Wellness Center over here off of Heather Drive, where you can go and do workouts and get yourself stay in shape. They've also got hospice care. They've got palliative care all throughout the United States. Louisiana Healthcare Group.
And speaking of that, a death notice of Mr. Jimmy Gravois, James Maurice, better known as Jimmy Gravois, age 75, who recently died this past Saturday, April the 28th. And he was one of the founding members of LHC Group of Lafayette.
Correct.
And Pierre Mistro knew him pretty well because he would go to his camp in Grand Isle, and C.J. Gilbo and his wife had a camp that maybe a few camps that they rented over there in Grand Isle, and
the Gilbos, that's Pierre's grandfather. That's how it would go. What's this connection with the Gilbos?
Yeah, it's related. And he would go there, and he met Jimmy, and he introduced me. He remembers the date and about the time of his introduction of Jimmy Gravois, because I kept reading and kept reading, and then finally I saw way down in the article he was a very successful sugarcane farmer over the years, and he was an entrepreneur, I might add.
There you go.
And anyhow, LAC lost a good friend, and Pierre thanks for the information and makes it closer to all of us. And
we've gotten a note from our friend Keith Hebert, from Keith Mars via Keith Hebert, talking about keeping him in our prayers whenever he was going through the last little bit. So.
We saw that, and another death. Let me get there's about 3 deaths here. Miss Eleonora Lalonde Ryder, Charles Ryder, Lil Tukey as we called him. His wife, age she was born in 37. She'll be 70. She would have been 75 in November the 8th. But I knew her, Pooney, Booney. I knew her years ago. Hadn't seen her in a long time, but that smile, she always had it. She was known for that, and a very lovable person. So to Charles and the family, my very deepest of sympathies on the death of your loved one. And another one that created a lot of conversation, and a man that was extremely well known in the business circles of Lafayette. I'm speaking of Richard Broussard, better known as Rick Broussard. He was killed in an automobile accident, and he was in a vehicle driven by a Miss Theall.
Andre Theall.
Andre. And she was extremely well known. She worked at for Judge Kali Saloon.
Court reporter with City Court.
With City Court, so she was well known. And for some unknown reason, she lost control of the car and hit a steel post and then ran finally into a service station service station lot. And so Rick had reopened Scandals, which was a very popular place for years, in the Lafayette Hilton Hotel.
And the reopening was popular again?
And reopened it a couple of years ago maybe, and it was popular again. So two well-known people in a very untimely accident, and I guess no one will really know exactly what happened.
Music and Market this weekend again, and it's going to be over at the Vieux Village underneath the Farmers Market Pavilion. Music starts around 6 p.m. Come on down and bring your lawn chairs for seating. There'll be all beverage sales go to help fund the event. It's going to be LA 31 is the band that's going to play, and they play a good mixture of rock and roll and Cajun and Zydeco and everything. And the vegetable this week that they'll be featuring and cooking is cabbage.
Cabbage. Talking about cabbage, this young man just presented 4 scholarships, and I'm speaking of
cabbage.
Glenn Armentor. What a man.
Right.
And when I say that, Glenn, I mean that. You have been generous to your community and to all of us ever since I met you way back when you and I were helping out with the amateur boxing, and then helped promote the professional fights in the Lafayette area, and just on and on. He presented 4 $10,000 scholarships to local seniors in Acadiana. And it doesn't surprise me at all, because he's known for that. I know he's spearheaded drives to keep the Cajun Boxing Club that Bo Williford operates at, on his own expense, and does a great job. So Glenn, keep up the good work. We love you.
KSLO, we're down to that break, and television as well. Folks, we're going to see y'all on the other side of 3 minutes.